Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to another episode of New Music Finds. So this is where I like to collect together all the different things that I've purchased over the past week, including this cool art print behind me. And I'm going to get into it with you guys. I'm going to talk all about it. I got stuff from brand new releases. Of course, Record Store Day happened. Hit up my local record store. So a lot of cool things, 22 things in all to run through with you. And we'll dive into that here in just a bit. But before we get started, if you're new to my channel and haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like. All those things help support my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by turning on notifications, you're going to stay up to date on some really cool videos, just like this one here, where I'm talking about all the cool new things that I picked up, hopefully turning you guys onto some things, giving you a little bit of background on stuff, maybe helping you decide what it is that you want to go out and pick up yourself. So I like to start off with new releases. And even though this past Friday was November 24th Record Store Day, and I got all of those too, there were actually still some new release albums that came out. First one up, brand new one from Jet Boy, if you can believe that. It is a covers album, but a new album nonetheless, and it is called Crate Diggin'. Was totally surprised, kind of came out of the blue, only announced in the few weeks prior to its album, at least when I found out about it. And it is on Cleopatra Records, well, Deadline, and that's a subsidiary of Cleopatra, but Deadline does all the glam metal stuff. And so it's got some cool covers on here, and of course they were always a bit of a cross between sort of a sleaze rock style sound and more of a punk sound. And they definitely do that sort of nature to these songs, and it's very, very cool. They've got songs by Rainbow on here. I think there's a Hall & Oates song. So they really cover sort of the gauntlet of stuff. Dreamweaver is on here by Gary Wright, and Funk 49 by the James Gang. It's a lot of cool songs, but I just like cover albums when they actually put a twist to the songs, and that's what I felt with this. So very happy about it. You guys had seen I've been picking up various artist releases and tribute albums recently, done by Cleopatra or Deadline or Purple Pyramid. All those are under the same banner. And this one just happened to get announced and come out, so it's kind of icing on the cake to be getting that at this point. This one here, if you already have the box set that came out, maybe not so new to you, but we have The Broadsword and the Beast, Jethro Tull album, Steven Wilson remix, now as a standalone 1 CD disc here. So you get the original 10 songs, but you also get 7 more what they call the associated recordings. And these are different takes of those 10 songs that are on there, with maybe 1 or 2 extras that didn't make the album. And very cool with that. I absolutely love the mixes that Steven Wilson does. I know some of you guys can't be bothered, but I just think he brightens things up. He really creates some space between all the instrumentation, so you really hear what's going on in it. And it just seems to have so much more energy in the mixes that he does over the original recordings. And I don't just mean that about the Jethro Tulls, I mean it about Giant, yes, or Gentle Giant, I should say, yes, and a number of other artists he's worked on and done that for, including one we'll be talking about here later from Record Store Day. I'll get into that in just a minute. The other one was another Jethro Tull release, War Child 2. Yeah, not just War Child 1, right? You know the original War Child album. And so if you have the box set, then you know about those associated recordings, the outtakes. Ian Anderson, frontman, gentleman right there, went through those and compiled up, let's see, 11 of those to make this album here. So they've all been previously released in some way, shape, or another. And it's actually kind of cool because it tells you how far going back, whether or not it was on like Nightcap in '93, or it actually appeared on the 40th anniversary edition in 2014. Or there was a best of Jethro Tull in '77 that some of these came out on, and so forth. But they've all been gathered up here for War Child 2. I hope they do this to a lot of their albums, because they have so much great outtakes and songs that weren't released at the time now being released on those box sets. But I like single albums like this with the original album art and everything for it. So not a Record Store Day release, just an actual regular release. LP only, unfortunately. That's why I have it. If it had been available on CD, I would have bought the CD edition. but it's totally worth it. I'm really, really enjoying it. In fact, I've never really connected with the album War Child, but this one here I like so much better. This was one I picked up on Record Store Day, but is a recent new release, so not related to Record Store Day, which is why I'm going to talk about it now. Goo Goo Dolls put out a live album, and this is Live at the Academy 1995, so it is an archival release back during the heyday, in my opinion, the best time period of the band, when they were still rocking things up in the more of a punk vibe than the more pop punk or, you know, acoustic sort of stuff that they became. And don't get me wrong, I do like that, but I definitely like this era better here. And this has a sound check performances, the actual concert, and of course the encore that comes after it. So gathers all of that up here. You get the full thing. And I think it's really cool that you get the sound check. I would like it if more bands would include that, especially if the sound check has different tracks that aren't played during the show. That makes it even better. And I don't know if I showed you these early on or not, because when I bought them, I put them aside. I didn't want to actually open these until Thanksgiving Day. That's when I consider the kickoff of Christmas. So I got 2 new Christmas albums this year, a Very Metal Christmas 1 and a Very Metal Christmas 2. Both of these done by, this is the Cleopatra label that I was just talking about, doing this again. So this is various artists doing Christmas songs. We've got Glenn Hughes, Tracy Guns, Jack Russell of Great White, Fast Eddie Clarke from Motorhead and Fastway, Janet Gardner of Vixen, Paul Di'Anno of Iron Maiden, George Lynch and Jeff Pilson from Dokken, Pretty Boy Floyd, Gilby Clarke. I mean, the list goes on. It's very, very cool. I've really enjoyed these. Some of these are new. Some of these go back. Some of these come from different compilations. But to have them all together like this is pretty cool. So I popped these on Thanksgiving morning to kick off my holiday. And I have to say, I really enjoyed hearing those. They'll probably be the 2 Christmas albums I'll listen to the most during this holiday season. All right, Record Store Day, the other big release day that happened, just happened to coincide with release day on Friday. So I ended up getting 9 things. I started off with only being interested in 3. That grew to 5 when I did the preview video. And then on the day, as I'm walking around, filming, talking with people, I'm seeing other stuff, becoming more excited about it. And so I had to wait till everyone was done and gone, but some few these titles were still left, and I was able to pick them up anyway. Now, the one that I first was interested in, and you guys know about The Doors, Live at Bakersfield. This is August 21st, 1970 recording. I got the CD edition, 2 CD set. There is, of course, LP edition of this. And some of you guys have asked about the quality of it. So live recording wise, it's fine. It's fine quality recording. The performance, though, is not so good. The band sounds bored to me. There's not a lot of energy to it. It just kind of sounds like they're going through the motion, like they're being forced to do it. There's, and maybe I should really say there's no life in Jim Morrison. Maybe it's not so much the band, but definitely in Jim Morrison. It's just, there's no excitement in what he's doing with it. I will say I haven't listened all the way through the show. Maybe he warms up a little bit later on. But I started this and I just couldn't get into it. So I'm glad to have it. It is an archival release. It's historical because it's The Doors. It's also a Record Store Day only release. So they're not trying to push it down everyone's throat with all the other stuff, during a regular release. So I'm okay with that. I'm glad to have it. But if you were debating on it and you're seeing it for a lot of, for expensive money out there, maybe we'll give you pause. All right, so I was talking about the Steven Wilson remixes that he does. Another band that he's been doing them for, Ultravox. 80s new wave band. Don't know if you call them new wave, but definitely from that era. I think this album is 1982. Quartet, Steven Wilson remix edition. Came out in a deluxe edition box set, but did not get a standalone. And they did this last time for one of their albums as well. I didn't know this one was even coming out. So when I had done that preview video, I then became interested and wanted to get a copy of this. And like the last time, you get the original album, then you get the same thing, but all instrumentals. And I've noticed that Steven Wilson has been doing that more. The new Yes box set has the original album and then the same album tracks, but done instrumental. So that's seemingly becoming a thing, which I think is interesting because sometimes vocals obscure all the cool stuff that's going on with these bands, especially prog bands like Yes that have a lot of noodling around and other things that are going on. But either way, there you go. That's another one that came out. Those are the only 2 CDs. The rest of the stuff I picked up, the other 7 titles, all LPs. First one, INXS Shabu Shuba Rarities. Whole disc worth too, because some of these things that I found from Record Store Day would say that it'd be 2 tracks, or it would be called the remixes, and it would be 2 tracks. So this here, we've got, let's see, 5, and it looks like 6 more, so 11 total on here. We get some cool outtakes, unreleased tracks, some extended mixes. We get 4 live tracks from the US Festival in 1983. This is put out by Atlantic Records, so very cool. That's their label. I was glad to get it. Oh, and this is on, I think they call it gold, but it doesn't really look gold to me. It's sort of like the Primus brown album color, but definitely cool for the colored vinyl aspect of this too. All right, that one. Then we got level-headed demos from Sweet, alternate mixes. This one here is on blue vinyl, if I'm not mistaken. Trying to, somewhere I think yeah, there it goes. It just took me a minute to find it in there. Limited of 2,500 copies though. I did notice that the last couple times they've done these, they've done them as gatefolds, and then this one here is not. And it's much thinner cardboard than the other, maybe even thinner vinyl, I don't know. But yeah, because I haven't opened it yet, but I'm just pointing that out. I thought that was a little odd, which makes me wonder if the others weren't selling as much, or if they just know that this album was nowhere near as popular as the other albums. Maybe they weren't going to get as many people to buy it. I bought it for my collection. I haven't cracked into it yet for just that reason. It's one of my least favorite albums from them. It's hit or miss with the tracks. The opening song, Dream On, is a little too mellow of a kickoff for me, and it takes a little bit to get into the cool stuff from the album. And only a few of the tracks, in my opinion, really sound like Sweet style songs. But you got Love Is Like Oxygen, one of their best songs ever, is on here. So that in and of itself makes the album worthwhile. This was a cool one. Faces had me a real good time at the BBC. So recordings from In Session and In Concert. Then we've got it from 71 to 73. This one here is limited orange vinyl. And again, just haven't gotten into these yet. I've got so much music here. I don't like to open my stuff until I'm ready to dig into it. That process of opening, peeling off the shrink wrap, you've seen Anthony and I even smell the vinyl, right? So that's why some of these are not open just yet, but they're gonna be. They're not gonna stay closed for long. Screaming Trees did a live album, Wrong Turn to Johannam. This is live from Egg Studio in 1991. They were recording an album at the time, and one of them, don't remember which guy, simply said, hey, let's do a run through of some of our songs just live in the studio and record it. And I don't know if they were just gearing up for tour. They just said, hey, let's do this and maybe we'll do something with it later. But either way, hasn't done anything with it until now. We're finally getting it here. So from 1991, this is 32 years on from its recording, and White LP is this. So again, something kind of cool there to just add to it. For me, I don't know, I'm not a big colored vinyl person. I certainly don't buy things based on having a colored version versus a non-colored version. But if I'm gonna buy vinyl, since I'm a CD guy, then I want all of the bonus stuff that I can get as part of the vinyl. And if that means adding it as color, then I want a colored edition of it. Okay, Collective Soul live album, live at the print shop. This is one you can see I've opened it because I've already taken it out and put my own plastic on it. But here's why. This said that it came with 2 silver dollars, and I checked, and in fact, yes, they're silver dollars. I was looking at them and thought maybe they were 50-cent pieces, but I had to quickly check. Now, when I open this up, you can see that it's got the 2 silver dollars, and they're in holders, so that's really cool. And they said it's part of this, you know, love project or something where you give one away to somebody and it gives them good luck and symbolizes love and all that stuff, and you keep one for yourself and it'll bring you luck. I've never heard of this. I don't know where this comes from, this idea of the silver dollar, but either way, it was just one more reason for me to pick this up and get this, to have that. And then on top of it, as I said, I like, you know, if I'm going to get stuff, then I want to get, you know, all the features. So this one here is in Dayglow Pink or Hot Pink or whatever you want to call it, vinyl, which I just thought was pretty cool because you don't really see pink vinyl very often. But Live at the Print Shop, Collective Soul. Okay, I picked up Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, Mindsets, and this is 6 new songs that she recently released streaming-wise only, and you can finally get them here in a physical format. But the cooler part of it is it's not just those 6 songs, you know, like 3 and 3. It's the 6 studio and then the same 6 songs done live. And I thought that was cool. So I get a full-length album and I can either listen to it live if I feel maybe there's more energy in that versus the studio, or, you know me, and I like my studio, I'm probably going to be listening to that more than anything. So I don't think this one's colored. Doesn't say anything about it being colored, but cool to get that. Anytime I can get new material on vinyl that I can't get on CD, that's really when I like to buy the vinyl. So this is one of those. Matt Cameron, drummer from Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, doing they call it a solo album, but it's really EP length, Gory Scorch Cretins. And this is with him and the Melvins. So we've got the various guys like Buzz Osborne on lead and rhythm guitar, Dale Crover on drums and guitar, and then of course you got Matt Cameron in there also, drums, but vocals, guitar, and bass. So rounded out with a bunch of other people that are on here. So I guess that's what this is, the Melvins, and maybe that's a C for Cameron, not sure, but very cool nonetheless, and it's a play on a Melvins album cover. But I didn't even know this was coming out, so that was one of the ones that I found when I was doing the preview and I had to add to my list. Lots of cool things there. And while I was there in the store, I also did some shopping and found some cool stuff. First one up, The Doors, 13. Didn't even know this got a 50th anniversary reissue in 2020 because the original album came out in 1970. So 13 tracks as you would expect on here. Digitally remastered, just adding in on the Doors stuff. I mean, since I was picking up this and so hyped to be getting some new Doors, I was just adding other Doors. And one of the ones was this Golden Album from the Doors, stereo, Japanese only release compilation album of theirs, gatefold edition too, so that's pretty cool. And hey, I had to just throw this in. Wasn't sure, I thought for sure I had this at some point, but I couldn't find it anywhere in my collection, and I remembered loving this cover, but thought I would remember that having dug into my Doors collection so many times over the years. So I took the chance, and sure enough, I did not own this. So that was really cool to get home and realize I had just gotten my hands on another Robbie Krieger solo album. And then, of course, come to find out, this one, along with the first one, are very hard to come by. So Versions does have some originals on here, but we also get some cover songs like Street Fightin' Man is on here. He does a cover of the Doors song Crystal Ship, which appears a number of times whenever he chose to cover Doors songs. So it must have been one of his favorite ones. And you get some other great ones on here, but all in all, very cool. I actually really like this. I'm trying to hunt it down on CD, but so far I've only found the 2-for, where you get the debut and this one. And since I don't have the debut, I'll probably buy that, but I really want it as standalone CD with the art and everything. So I'll do a little bit more searching on that. And the other thing that I picked up while I was there, this Yes Union 30 box set in the road case. This one here has, I can't remember, I think 31 or 32 CDs, DVDs, because it's a combination of stuff. So this box set came out a while back. It covers their Union tour, and I don't know if it's every show or it was just a selection of sort of a thing. I don't think that tour was a very long running one. But you can see on top there's all kinds of memorabilia and stuff like that. Let me pull that out real quick. And then you can see all of the discs in there like that. So kind of very cool thing. Previous to this, I had picked up the bonus tracks one. You can buy these all individually now, and it's a 4-disc set of all different stuff that doesn't appear on those albums from sound checks and other stuff. And that was such a cool thing that I had picked that up, and the sound quality on it turned out to be excellent. So I'm really hoping that the rest of this is the same way, because I did have an earlier release of a show from the Union Tour, and it was not very good quality. It was much more in the vein of what I would consider a bootleg to be. I'm kind of hoping that the rest of these are in just as good a condition as that bonus tracks version. But picked this up. I was glad to finally get that in my collection. And then this guy here. So if I can get the whole thing in there. There we go. Misfits poster. Framed. Anthony had it done. I've been trying to talk him into it for quite some time now. Done to celebrate the 40 years of the Misfits. But as I mentioned to you guys when I got it, that the art for this actually comes from Vampire Girl, a CD single that was released. And I like it for that reason. It basically melds their Glenn Danzig era with their post-Danzig era, where Jerry only fronts the band, and he's been the only consistent member and longest running guy in the group. I like that era of the band, so when I saw this, it made me think of that era of the group, and I wanted that for myself. Whereas Anthony wanted it because of the 40th anniversary of the reunion, the Glenn Danzig, and when I told him where the art came from and then showed him that it was the same art, he actually lost interest in it. And I wasn't trying to take away the interest from him, but it actually worked to my advantage, because once he found that it came from the later era, he became more amenable to selling it to me, so I got a hold of that. And then I still got some other cool stuff. I picked up some more Kinks. This one here, the Village Green Preservation Society album from 1968. For me, this one probably has the most consistent sound of any of the early era Kinks. Usually there's a few tracks I really like and some weird ones that I don't like as much. And I found that I really liked this whole album, so I picked that up. Ordered one of the post... oh, why am I spacing on his name? Joe Walsh, the post-Joe Walsh era James Gang albums. Passing through. This is on One Way Records. I've had a twofer for a long time that had this album and one of the other ones on it, but I'm slowly trying to collect them individually like this. So I got that. That was an eBay order that came in record time. I ordered it and like 3 days later it showed up, so that was a really great one. Found this, and it was an unexpected find called The Secret Sessions, featuring Corky Lang from Mountain. We also have Felix Pappalardi on here, also from Mountain, so the drummer, the bass player of Mountain. Then you've got Ian Hunter from Mott the Hoople on guitar and vocals, and you have Mick Ronson also on guitar. So quite the lineup, quite the super group, and they recorded an album, or tracks I should really say, in '78. And they had funding, and it was put together, and it was pushed by the record label. Then management changed, and there was no interest in it, and it's been shelved and finally got a release. If I can see the date, around 2000, I don't know if this is the first time it's been out, but 2011 is the date of this. And this just, nothing about it screams anything Mountain or Mott the Hoople. I found it in a Mott the Hoople section, and luckily flipped it over and read all the various names of the people on it that were performing, and did a quick search, and wow, is that a good album. So if you've seen this around or never have, but you want some cool Ian Hunter, Mott the Hoople rock and roll, that's really where this lies more than in the Mountain vein. This is it. Check this out. And I looked at this earlier in the week on my mini visits to Sound Exchange, picking up stuff from Gary Moore, and I didn't pick it up, and I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much, and then I got home and turned out I really, really like this. the Gary Moore Band, Grinding Stone, 1973. Solo album, I think it's his first one after the project Skid Row. Could be wrong about that. But still in the blues vein, but much more hard rock style than Skid Row was. And again, I'm really loving it. So these two things here, I really didn't know what to expect with, and they turned out to be just cool stuff. Glad I added them in. So I think I ran through everything there. 22 different items, CDs, vinyl, and more for you guys. Hopefully you enjoy this. Maybe you found something cool to go out and check out, like this thing, Secret Sessions. If not, maybe give you an idea of stuff to go pull off your wall and check out. All right, everyone, take care. Have a good one. Let me know the things you picked up, and we'll talk real soon. Bye-bye.